What are the keys to youthful vitality? That's the topic we're going to address today on Flourish-Meant. I'm your host, Tina Yeager. Today I have a special guest and a good friend that I've known for a very long time, Susan Neal. She has a master's in health science and an MBA, and she's an RN. She lives her life with a passion to help others improve their health. She suffered her own health crisis, and in response to that, she became an author and a health coach. And she has developed a broad expertise in helping people live their best with regards to their physical health. And she's here to share with us from her newest book, 12 Ways to Age Gracefully, How to Look and Feel Younger. Welcome back, Susan. I'm always delighted to have a conversation with you.
Oh, thanks so much, Tina.
I want to get into some specifics about aging gracefully. In our culture, we do not think of aging as something that anybody wants to do. In fact, all of the products that are sold to us as women are centered on avoiding age altogether, as if it is a bad word, a terrible sentence to actually grow old. So, can you talk about how aging gracefully is actually possible, and it is something that we can look forward to rather than something we need to avoid?
As we age, we end up the ones with the wisdom. We have lived life. In the Bible, it says we older women should be mentoring the younger ones. So that's wonderful. What a wonderful perspective to have a whole lifetime. Now we can instill in others. How can you instill, and impart your wisdom to the younger generation? That's a wonderful way to think of it. Recently, I started taking care of one of my daughters. It's her best friend's child. So one day a week, got him when he was 3 months, and I get him just one day, and he's a year and a half. And how much joy does that, bring your life? So we need to embrace our wisdom, embrace where we are, but at the same time, take care of our physical bodies so that we can pick up that little one.
What's the difference between aging in a way that we want to avoid, like our culture shows us the images of aging with cognitive decline, with physical decline, with health problems, and what you're talking about with aging gracefully, being able to pass on wisdom, care for other people, and continue to be active? What is the difference between those two lifestyles, and how do we choose the preferred way of aging over the natural entropy of aging that we would otherwise have happen in our bodies?
What I start out with in the book is your diet. That is, such a big one. And and I also like to make things simple. Like you look at your plate and say, okay, did this food come out of a garden or a ranch? If it did, eat it. If it didn't, and it's been shredded up and it's in a shape, don't eat it. That's processed food that the food manufacturers want you to get hooked on. Don't eat those kinds of foods. So you want to work on your diet, and you want to have a healthy diet. You want to drink water that probably has been purified. I just got a water filtration system underneath my kitchen sink. I've been wanting that for a long time. So I'm happy to have that to filter my water. You want to work on your gut microbiome. That is your gastrointestinal tract. And God gave us a perfect balance of probiotics in there. But when you take an antibiotic, it strips your GI tract of the good guys. So take a supplement, take a probiotic supplement, and eat some sauerkraut because that gives you the probiotic. And then, so that's the first two chapters. The next chapter, we're going to go into exercise. So, the secret to exercise is finding one that you enjoy. Do you like to walk? Do you like to play tennis? For me, I love to swim. So, ever since I was a kid, I have so thoroughly enjoyed swimming. So, I'm fortunate enough to have a pool. I live in Florida. Would I rather go walk around the block and sweat, which probably would be good for me, but I'd rather go get into the pool and swim. And then I do 10 laps, 20 minutes of really intense back and forth, constant cardiovascular exercise in the pool.
So is that the recommended amount of exercise for people 50 and older is 10 to 20 minutes at a time?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's really great to do 20 minutes of cardiovascular. Uh, Personally, I have to work up to it. Like I start swimming in May, so I can usually start with 10 laps. And then the next time I'll do 11, and next time 12, and next time 13. It takes me a while to get up to 20 laps, which is what I like to do, which takes 20 minutes. So it might take me 2 months of training to get there. So you want to start gradual. Also, as we age, like we lose our muscle. So, it starts to sag, right? So, what we want to do is we want to get our weights and we do our weights. So, actually, while I'm working or I'm reading something, I'll get my little free weights and I'll do them, and move my arms in all sorts of ways. I'll do squats and lunges. I can simply do that at home. I do that once a week, but then I also go to the gym once a week and I do all the different machines there. Because if we don't exercise our muscles, we're going to lose muscle mass and then we're more prone to injuries.
I was going to ask you, how do we avoid injury as we age when we're exercising? So, one of the ways to avoid injury is to actually strength train, and we could do that with resistance bands or weights. Or are there other things that we need to do to make sure that we're avoiding injury as we age?
Listen to your body. If your body's saying, oh, this doesn't feel right in my shoulder, move on to another machine. Stop doing that movement. Be careful with your body. Like I said, it takes me 2 months to go from swimming 10 laps to 20 laps. Start out with a 1 mile walk, then go up to 1.5. It takes you a while to move up to do 2 miles. So you want to start with lower weights and then slowly move up to higher weights. So be gentle and it might be the time where we're not doing the snow skiing and the horseback riding as much. Like I used to love those, but it's kind of like, well, I need to make sure I'm not going to have an injury. I'm not real proficient with those. So maybe it's time I stop doing those.
Consider what types of exercise you're engaging in and do something that's lower impact, lower risk. I also kind of want to focus on cognitive decline and how to optimize your cognitive functioning in the final years of your life, the final season of your life, I guess I should say. And how can we do that? How can we focus on optimizing our cognition, our memory, our mental processing during our later years of life?
One that we mentioned was diet. So, a healthy diet that's low in sugar and refined carbohydrates is number one. Number two is dental hygiene. When you have periodontal disease, those type of bacteria, it's really close to the brain, and that's one of the risk factors. So, if you might need more dental cleanings. I get 2 or 3 dental cleanings a year. And then detoxification, because we used to pump leaded gas. We used to have lead in our paint. We don't know how many heavy metals we might have, like from the mercury from our amalgams in our teeth. So sweating and remove that naturally removes the toxins that are built up in our system. So detoxification. And then also vitamin levels. B12 and D are two that, if they are below normal, you may have more disorientation. My mother had dementia from a stroke. And when we got her weekly B12 shots to bring her B12 up to normal, she was so much more coherent. And at the same time, she was taking the monthly vitamin D pill that was for a prescription. You could talk with her more when those vitamin levels went up. even though she had had a stroke and it had impacted her mental capacity.
So, water sources, if we're talking about toxicity, if your tap water is well water or city water, should you look at a purification? Should you get bottled water? Is there something that we need to pay attention to with what we're drinking the most of every day, or even putting onto our skin in the shower?
It was a big thing for me to do, but I recently got a whole house water filtration system so that when I am showering, it does remove the chlorine, it does remove the fluoride and, items like that. But underneath my sink, I got the reverse osmosis system, which gets even more of the toxins out. And that's what I use for cooking and drinking. Now, you really don't want to buy bottled water out of plastic. They just had a study come out in February of 2024, and they had a new visualization method to be able to see all these different microplastics that were in the bottled water. So I would avoid water from bottles.
That's fascinating. That's really scary because I only drink bottled water because my well water is not that great. So that's good to know. I'm going to have to pay attention to that a little bit more myself. So can you talk also about menopause a little bit? I know that someone watching may be going through that or maybe preparing to go through that. Are there some things that we can do naturally when we're going through that change? We are going to be sweating more, so I guess that's a positive part of menopause.
You're right. You're right. Oh, I had a horrible time 12 years ago going through menopause. Oh my gosh, all that perimenopausal stuff. Talk about cranky. Oh my goodness. So, as our estrogen and progesterone decline, and this is just the way God made us, we are to decline, but our spirits are going to live on. So, uh, what we can do is find a good physician, one that deals with testing you for your hormone levels, see where your progesterone is and estrogen is. And for me, I was estrogen dominant, and estrogen dominance, I call it like a feral cat. Whereas the progesterone, you have progesterone, it's a purring kitten. So I needed a little bit more of that purring kitten. So I got bioidentical progesterone cream from a pharmacy, compounding pharmacy prescribed through my physician. And after a few years, and I've got through menopause, and I'm very balanced and not irritable anymore, then I just went and I just buy progesterone cream from the health food store made out of African yams. I take it about twice a week, and it minimizes, any symptoms. So but you should see a doctor. You should have your hormones checked, and they will give you good advice.
Are there other things that we need to know about, some specific things that you want to make sure that the audience hears from you today?
I would say it's the divine calling. I'm thinking about writing another book about kind of like starting over after 50. So, as we age, our purposes in life can change. It can go from, yeah, raising our family to imparting and helping our grandchildren or even other little children, like the one have once a week, know about the Lord. You know, what can we do at our church? Where can we volunteer? We usually have more time at this season. What is something you've always wanted to do? If you wanted to knit or crochet or paint, my mother started painting in her 50s and 60s. And oh my gosh, she was a really great artist. We had no idea. She had 7 kids, so she couldn't do that when they were all home. So, find another purpose and enjoy and find joy through it.
Is there something that we need to know about our skincare that we should be applying in the later seasons of life?
Yes, there can be a lot of toxins in skincare products. So you can get an app. There's numerous different ones on your smartphone that you get your smartphone and you look at the little code on the back of the item that you're about to buy from the store, or like what I did. I when I was writing this book a year ago, I was like, I went through every product I used for makeup, for skincare, and shampoo, and I had to get rid of stuff. And because, it had, metals and toxic substances that are not beneficial for us. And I got more pure products, and the app will tell you what it has in it and when it's a green light and when it's a red light to not get it.
Wow. So some of our anti-aging products may be aging us. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they could be potentially giving us a toxin because we're putting it on our skin and it's being absorbed into our skin. That is our largest organ, is our skin. It's like I don't even use sunscreen. And if I have to, I'm going out for more than 30, 40 minutes or whatever, then I either get in the shade or I use a sunscreen that I know does not have any toxins in it.
Interesting. Well, I know that everyone that's watching and listening will want to connect with you and get more information and get a copy of 12 Ways to Age Gracefully. So, can you tell everyone how people can connect with you and get a copy of your new book and all the others that you have to offer?
Okay, great. They can go to my website at susanuneal.com. That's the letter U, Neal.com.
I hope that all of you listening were inspired and informed about how to age gracefully and not be afraid. And of course, I also hope that you hit subscribe and come back for the next episode of Flourishment.